Well, according to the YouTube doodah, we're live. Although I don't see anything on the studio thing to indicate that it is fully functioning. I think we're live. I think we are. I have to wait for the chat to confirm it because that just went funny on me. Yes. And we're live. Yes. Welcome everyone to a PMQ stream. It's been a very, very busy day. And I'm very tired. But it's okay. I'm not going to be here too long. I would like to go hang out with patrons afterwards. So hello Shogun, Minty, Spoony, Brony, Spoon, McSpoonface. Hello Patriarch of the Sith, Nomo Hakon, Stuart, Meatball, Globus Hystericus, and Cyrene. I hope you're all fantastic today. I guess the only positive really at the end of my day is with how busy it's been. I received a very lovely gift from the States. A cushion that someone made with me on it, and they sent me this tentacle sort of boned thing with a light. But also I ordered my birthday whiskey from last week with the Amazon voucher and the money I got. I bought myself a bottle of Proper 12, which is Conor McGregor's. It's still sealed. I have not tried it. I'm going to wait. Because I think it inappropriate to drink while streaming, but also I'm too tired to appreciate it. So I'll get to that on Monday. Maybe Friday. I don't know. We'll see. Hello, Stephen O'Kane. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. As you can see, we have PMQs. Hello, Littlies. And I'll be honest, this one was a bit dead. It's also interesting to note the picture you see on the screen. Yeah, that's they don't even start at the right spot, you know. So let's go to the video. Let's go to the video and start this. Hello, Tiger Lily. I haven't seen you in a while. Hello, Karma. Hello, Duck Dog. So yes, this isn't PMQs yet. I have to drag it across, as you can see, further and further along. I might have it here. Right, I think I found it. I know who this is. She was my MP in Norwich. She became an MP at a by-election, actually. I can't remember her name, though. She's quite young. And rather interestingly, she was made... Hello, Ventolo. Hope you're well. She was made a bit of a... She was kind of the lemming to take all the abuse from Jeremy Paxman once. Yeah. Oh, TC. Hope TC's well. Hope you two had a fantastic time. Hello, Stephen Endersby. So yes, she was an MP in my area when I was in Norwich. Let's get into this, though.
The British people are on our side, as this was a core part of our manifesto. The Labour Party needs to ask why it is not on the right side of this question.
Right, this should be now the start of PMQs. I have bothered to watch it.
Prime Minister's questions, Bin Mapalomi.
Question number 1, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Oh, the complete lack of virtue is so good. It's refreshing, almost.
Bin Mapalomi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I welcome an announcement from the government this week that tougher sentences, an end to early release...
Hang on, before we continue. Okay. Okay. I'm not the type to abuse people for whatever choice they make when it comes to their appearance. But the dude behind this MP, whose name I cannot remember, the man though behind him with the brownish hair, his name is Michael Fabricant, and he normally has a similar hairstyle, but it's bright blonde. I'm sorry, I don't want to. Can you just get a grey one? Because it looks really bad. I don't know why he does it. I really should look into it. But it's such an obvious wig. It actually annoys me.
and a complete review of the management of convicted terrorists are among a range of measures designed to strengthen this country's response to terrorism. A promise made by this Prime Minister and a promise delivered. Would the Prime Minister agree with me that we need to do everything we can, whatever it takes, to stop the sickening terrorist attacks from taking place?
Okay, so hello to unpronounceable from somewhere I'm not going to try and guess. Hello, Ray Dale and Scott Lloyd, and there's somebody else. I'm sure. I do apologise. It is a wig. So when it comes to sentencing, I have a pretty obvious position on it. I don't agree with the half sentences for more serious crimes. For very light crimes, you know, I can understand and appreciate it with rehabilitation. When it comes to the more serious ones, like terrorism, no. What are you doing? Many have already posited the idea, and it's been proven, that prisons have become, in some areas, breeding grounds for extremism. Deal with it. Actually do something about it, please. It's kind of embarrassing now.
Mr. Speaker,
and hello,
my
loyal
honourable
opposition.
friend is absolutely right about the threat that we face, and that is why this government is putting more resources into catching terrorists, and that is why we have announced a major shift.
And the more resources into catching them, yeah, we hired the bully hunters.
In the UK's approach to the sentencing and management of terrorist offenders. This government will do all that we can to keep our people safe.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Next Monday we'll be commemorating Holocaust Memorial Day.
I feel like you're the wrong party to be talking about it. I can't think why, though.
It's a time for us all to reflect on the horrors of the past and remind us of the evils of Nazism, genocide, anti-Semitism, and indeed all forms of racism, which we must...
I should say, when it comes to Holocaust Memorial, while it's great to use it to highlight all forms of racism, it's really not about all forms of racism, is it? It's about one particular type. One. We don't need to turn it into an event for everyone else to feel included, because it's not relevant. In fact, it is a huge deflection and it waters down the true meaning. I think you're the wrong person because of how badly you've handled the issues within your own party. Hello, the memes of destruction.
Must always all
And
be
Asthma Hound.
implacably determined to root out wherever it appears.
Lol.
And this Saturday, Mr. Speaker, hundreds of millions of people will be celebrating Chinese New Year around the world. And I'm sure the Prime Minister
Couldn't care less.
will join me in welcoming the Year of the Rat and invite all Chinese people to have a great time.
Yes, we should definitely give a sod.
Mr. Speaker, if a worker earning just over £12,500 a year receives a £300 bonus, how much of that bonus does the Prime Minister think that worker should be allowed to keep?
Right. Now, okay. Let's do the maths. This is important. The tax bar currently isn't there. The taxable allowance is at, I believe, 11,500 or 12,000. It's not at 12,500. Hello, Russell Burnham and number one. Hope you're well. And White and Le Plerome. Plurum. I'm going to call you Le. Your name is Le now. Congratulations. When it comes to the tax bar, there are taxable... we don't pay tax up to a certain amount. Okay, that's fine. But the amount taxed afterwards is tricky because if you haven't been paying taxes and then you earn over the threshold, the tax then gets readjusted a little, doesn't it? Which most people get back in the form of a rebate. Hello, Functional. Hope you're well. So, it shouldn't be 65%. It really shouldn't, based on the current numbers, but actually, it is. So instead of paying what many think it would be £60 of that £300 bonus, no, you're paying more because the tax bar isn't there, but also because you've not paid tax, it has to adjust. So yes, you lose most of your bonus. Bonus is still a taxable income, though. I should be clear. It's the same as donations. It's the same principle. It is taxable income, and you must pay your taxes on it. I also like where he's going to go with this. I should say now, obsessing over this is weird. Muchly laugh. Hello. Corbyn has a huge pair talking about anti-Semitism publicly, considering he come... Yeah, his party's not great at the moment. Yeah.
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, let me join the right honourable gentleman in what he said about the importance of Holocaust Memorial Day and, of course, in stamping out anti-Semitism and resurgence of anti-Semitism in our country. And on his point about the low paid, I think perhaps the best...
I think what's going to be interesting here is we should now ask ourselves, how many questions out of 6 will Boris bother to answer? And instead of doing what you know he's going to do, and just say how amazing he is, and be optimistic, which I get, it's good. Nothing wrong with being optimistic, and of course with a lame duck opposition, do you have to answer them really? Tax is theft, don't tread on me. They don't step on Sneck.
Answer I can give to him is to remind him that just this week, this government increased the living wage by the biggest ever amount, so that people on the living wage will be receiving an extra £1,000 a year. And if he wants a further.
They'll still be paying taxes on that, and I should say that actually it was the 2015-2016 tax year that actually had the largest hike. Once you include the living wage being introduced, the biggest was actually then, not now.
Elucidation on his point. Perhaps he could answer a better question.
Or was it 16-17? It was one of those 2 years, and it wasn't, this with the extra 1,000 because the tax bar's not going to match it. Therefore, it's all they get saying, oh yeah, but you will make this amount of money before you get taxed, but you're still going to get taxed then. That's Corbyn's position on it.
The question.
Mr. Speaker, Greggs are currently giving 25,000 workers a £300 bonus.
Congratulations. You work in Greggs? Oh, God. And I thought being self-employed was tough. Then again, and I've laughed about it many times, the one in Stratford had employees that wouldn't touch certain meat products. And I found that to be quite funny, because they work there. And they really struggled, even with tongs.
But some of those workers on universal credit will only be allowed to keep £75 out of that £300.
You don't suppose it's because they're on benefits as well, and you meant to declare it and you lose money because of it, right? I just want to say, it's an obvious one here. I get that Corbyn wants everyone to live a good, comfortable, happy life. Because he thinks everyone should earn essentially the same. Pay the same tax, the exact same everywhere across the country, and live in identical homes and have identical belongings or lack thereof because of what he believes. I get it. No burning injustice because everyone is identical. Apparently, clones are what he wants. I would say, and actually Globus Hystericus has just stolen it for me, £75 is still a bonus. And you still have to pay your taxes. A bonus is taxable income. What on earth are you arguing for, Jeremy? I'm all for helping people, but Greggs chose to give them that money. It had to be declared. It can't be given as a one-off cash reward, because you can't do that. I just want to say, as far as quality of Greggs go, I'm sure they do fantastic food. I've had to have one of their cheese baguettes before. It wasn't bad. The Belgian buns, though, were an absolute stale abomination, and you should be shot for it. And your pizza is a piece of bread, essentially cheese on toast with a couple slices of pepperami or pepperoni in, depending on how spicy you like it.
And if the Prime Minister can answer that question and show me that's just and fair, I'll buy him a vegan roll from Gregg's myself.
Ew.
But the first aim of universal credit, which is set to affect 6 million...
And I bet Corbyn would bloody well declare that as an expense as well.
people, was to make work pay. But when low-paid...
Work does pay. The argument you're going down now is poverty-related and what definition of poverty you adhere to. And there's a huge issue here because you're conflating...
Workers can't even...
You're conflating low income and poverty. They're not necessarily aligned at all the time, are they? Honestly, it's... Greg's isn't great. Greg's has 2 G's on the second one, Karma. It's not great at all. I'm sure they do fantastic food, just some of their establishments are a bit, ugh. But, back to this. What was it? I've completely lost it. I have to go back a little. I do apologise.
But the first aim of universal credit, which is set to affect 6 million people...
Right. First aim of universal credit was to help those in need. If you're working full-time and you're earning up to the tax bar without paying tax, I'll be honest, you're not as much in need as others. I mean, you get offset and you get help, but you still have to pay your taxes back into the system. Why don't you just move to a low-cost area? I'm not saying, by the way, it's possible to live on 12 grand a year. It's not that easy. I know this. But I would argue their position... I prefer Tesco... Tesco value is better than Gregg's, isn't it? I prefer quick save, no frills, to be honest, over Gregg's every fecking day of the week. I don't want to make the argument that people earning full-time wages, that minimum wage or living wage, can get by. Obviously not in certain areas. But the idea that they are considered poverty or in poverty is a bad argument. It's inaccurate. And hello, Kelamati, matey. And horny hippos. Hope you're well. Both well, in fact.
Was to make work pay.
Work does pay. It's just we like to take money from them. Remember, taxes theft, everyone. Hello, Zach Realist.
But when low-paid workers can't even keep their own bonuses, it's clear that...
They do. They get 75 quid of it. You can buy an infinity gauntlet for that.
Government is punishing, not supporting people. Will the Prime Minister do something to ensure that workers at companies like Gregg's on low pay will be allowed to keep their bonuses?
They do get to keep it. They get to keep all of it after they've paid their taxes. Are you trying to... Oh no. This is what you have become, Jeremy. You are the voice for the voiceless and the pasty wielders, deliverers, distributors, whatever you want to call them. Oh, it's a bonus. If you were in government, you'd damn well tax them as well. You tool. Oh, unbelievable. I'm sorry. Calm myself down. It's so stupid. It is so... Oh, you know what? Carry on. He's going down the poverty line, obviously. And then we get into that discussion.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, under this government, people on low pay will be able to keep more of the money that they earn. And it is this government that is cutting national insurance contributions for everybody in the country. It is this government.
That is true. Mine aren't exactly that high, which surprised me, but then I was a little bit concerned when I realised, you're not paying into a system and all that, but yeah, it's nice to know that not as much of my money is being requested to pay for national insurance, which is great because it doesn't really go on national insurance anyway, does it? It just goes into the coffers and then gets distributed later.
that is increasing the living wage, and it was the right honourable gentleman who voted against tax cuts for the low paid to the tune of £7,800.
There was a debate about how the government, if it was run by Corbyn, would fund its grey book of costed expenses, which didn't include other expenses that later on were added to it. And some did posit it that based on how much he was seeking to borrow, coupling that with what we can pay and the interest we would pay on that it would cost thousands to everyone. And it was a huge damning statement, but I don't remember if that was ever debunked or not. But it was a damning statement then.
The Prime Minister himself fought with unbelievable levels of energy to protect the bankers' bonus.
So I guess you weren't going to do that? Don't you want the banker to keep... they work hard for a lot more money, but they work hard to screw us over.
Why can't he do something about the low paid on very low wages who need to be allowed to keep the bonus they've got?
£300 does go quite far, I would say. It goes about as far as a rather long train journey. Or a short-term one if you do it on the day. You could buy a pretty low-end guitar, tablet, some cyanide if you're feeling edgy.
The Resolution Foundation report published yesterday highlighted serious distress caused by the dysfunctional nature of the universal credit system. One claimant said, sometimes you're starving, another said it was horrendous, and another said, it's very hard for me because I'm not very good at computers. Does the Prime Minister think that universal credit is meeting its second aim of making the social security system simpler?
This, minus all the nonsense, because universal credit is a very it's a very country it's affected people down the middle. Some people have been affected negatively, some people positively. It depends on where you are, and I think it's really, I can't comment on that part. But this question, the rest of the question, once you get rid of the bump about who was negatively affected, then it's a decent question, to be honest.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Speaker, we are making the social security system simpler because we have massively reduced unemployment.
It is quite low at the moment, no denying that. And I think we should all crowdfund Ray Dale some cyanide. I would like to crowdfund. I'm looking around my room for something. A full-size Aku mask to wear when I decide I want to charge at crates and dynamite. And I'd also like to crowdfund. I don't know, some flaming hot Cheetos. Let's go with that. Yeah, that'd be nice. I don't eat crisps, so I'll probably just watch someone else eat them, or ground them into a fine powder and snort them.
I can tell him on his specific point about Gregg's. As far as I understand the situation, Gregg's is producing record figures, £7 million extra. One person, I believe, has complained about the bonus system that he remarks upon, but it is in the context of unparalleled growth in employment. 359,000 more jobs in this country this year than last year, and the IMF now confirming that the UK economy will grow faster than the rest of the Eurozone. When is he going to stop talking Britain down and start recognising the extraordinary achievements of the UK economy?
Okay, so he is right. We are doing incredibly well. Corbyn, though, is also right to rail on the government. It's just he's not railing on it in the right areas. Because he hasn't quite... Something doesn't quite click with Jeremy Corbyn when it comes to nothing beats a fat line of Cheeto dust, right? See, people get me. excuse me, if he hammered them, instead of addressing it with the burning injustice nonsense, and instead focused on the fact that the government made these sacrifices, could they not have softened the blow in some manner? I think he might have done a better job. The problem is, and it's the problem Corbyn was always going to face, why austerity happened. He would rather say it was a political move conjured up by the Conservatives. The Conservatives say, I'm sorry, but I still have that memo framed in my office that says there's no money left. I don't know why I'm playing with this Velcro strap. I do apologise.
The real issue is, Mr. Speaker, that many people in work are also in poverty.
Low income, not poverty, not necessarily the same thing.
And have to access universal credit.
Yep. Low income people can do that. I could do that, actually, but I choose not to because I don't care. I just don't want it. I don't want you muppets in my life. I'll give you the taxes owed, but then you can fuck off. That's about it, really. I found out many people qualify, and I'm one of them, and I just don't care. Don't know what to say to that beyond that, really. There are some people who are working and they are in poverty, but those people are typically either in or under a horrific amount of debt, right? Or they are in an area that's far too expensive for them and they refuse to leave, making it harder for themselves. Or they have a situation that makes it hard for themselves, like, for example, working full-time and having several children when there is a 2-child cap on the universal credit, and expecting the government to prop up your income to help raise more children because you lacked pull-out game or a Johnny. Or just couldn't, not procreate so much. Kilamati, IMF forecasts Britain outgrowing the Eurozone, France, Germany and Japan over the next 2 years. Behind only US and Canada, the positivity from Brexit and Corbyn's defeat look to be helping. I think so. The Velcro noise beats the damn printer. I swear sometimes I think you're 3D printing a female squid. I'm actually printing in absolutes. Yeah, work that one out. Hang on, let me read that. Hello, Rob of Yorkshire. If the UK put a 5p tax on bank transactions, we could afford a universal basic income. But if we do that, it needs to be a proper amount. When I worked, I got £1,000 a month. I saved £200. That's an option. I mean, there are some cash machines that charge anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if they could find a way to work that out in the future anyway. Although, does anyone deal with cash these days? I have a Curve card. I just have all my bank accounts linked to that. I just scan that. I never really carry cash anymore. Sometimes I do when I have it on me from collecting from clients, but otherwise, yeah, tricky. But it could work. It's the printer. Yeah, I could turn it on if you like. I'll turn it on. I will turn that printer on. I will make you all suffer.
Almost 1 million on 0 hours contracts, and actually more people rough sleeping than ever before. Those are the issues that ought to be...
It's a debated number. Just going to say that I can't find a definitive source on it, because there are conflicting ones.
Concerning the Prime Minister. The third aim of universal credit, it was claimed, was to reduce poverty, but we know it's having the opposite effect. Under this government, 65 million meals were handed out by the Trussell food banks over the last 5 years.
I should, for the sake of clarity, say what that actually means. So, the Trussell Trust handed out 65 million meals. That is, in 3 days' food, 6.3 million food parcels containing 3 days' worth of food, which is enough food for 10 meals. That was where that number comes from, and that comes from 2014 to 15 up to 2018 to 2019. That was where it came from. I do want to say though, I would have thought after the Lad Babies' last 2 Christmas #1 singles, they're doing good now. They're doing all right. We'll just wait till next year and they'll have another sausage roll song. And it'll be number 1 because I'm sick of the X Factor and I'll be okay buying it. Honestly. Where's my cut of their profit? It's a good point. It's a good point, actually. I quite like that. Yes, let's continue. Let's continue.
The 5-week delay for new claimants is leaving people with...
That's a good point, Kellamati. Not everyone does. We, in this household, before my mother passed, we did once. Things were really hard then, and I was living on £5 a week, and I had to, because of a screw up with the guys at one of the places I clean, they pay me, and they couldn't for 6 months, and I went overdrawn, and I stayed overdrawn for that long, and it was £90 every month bank charges, leaving me minus £85 every month. It took me 4 years to clear that, and they never paid me back or offered to pay the debt they had created through their own stupidity. And so I know that difficulty, I really do. But there are people that do use it out of, I just want food. Just give me some extra stuff, you know? There are people like that, I will admit that.
Out enough money to cover basic needs. Why isn't...
Hello, Lord Crocker Squirrel. He's not here yet, and not a great gamer. Hello.
The Prime Minister taking action to end this punitive and vicious 5-week wait for benefits?
Prime Minister!
There is a service available for those who are in a position where they are going to struggle during that time to obtain funds in an emergency. And those same people then would pay it back over a period of time, being taken from the universal credit, as well.
Mr. Speaker, universal credit has in fact succeeded in getting 200,000 people into jobs, and contrary to what he says, the number of people in poverty has diminished by 400,000 under this government. Contrary to what he says, wages have been increasing solidly for the last 22 months, and Labour's supposed to have had a period of reflection, Mr. Speaker, since the last election. They're supposed to have been reflecting on the results of the last general election. They've decided, as far as I understand it, that what they want is even more Corbynism, Mr. Speaker. A four-day week, increases in taxes on working people, uncontrolled immigration from everywhere. I refer the right honourable gentleman to the answer the British people gave to him 4 weeks ago.
Right. Let's see. Just the same problem. Endless bank charges. Okay, yeah, it lasted about 4 years for me. I was very happy when it finally got paid off. But I don't care anymore because I do this and I quite enjoy it. Asthma Hound, gotta go. Thank you for being here. Crisis Loan to help you up back in the day. Not a great gamer. I was wrong, was I? My apologies if I am wrong. I do apologise for being wrong. If that is the case, then I only recall it because of Theresa May saying it when she was Prime Minister. And it's one of those rare things I remember of her rather unremarkable 3 years in office. But thank you for if I'm wrong, thank you for that. I do appreciate it. I will, of course, seek to confirm it at a later date when I'm not doing so much overtime. Yes. If you're smoking 100 cigarettes a week and drinking 20 pints, don't go claiming poverty. Yeah, it's one hell of a coping mechanism, isn't it? I'm so sick of this life because I'm so poor. Give me another ale. I'm just going to go and get myself some extra tar in my lungs and encourage those cancer cells to grow.
Wouldn't it be truly wonderful if the Prime Minister answered a question about universal credit?
He doesn't have to with you, though. I mean, he does have to. He really should. But with you, he doesn't have to. Because you are nobody. And I think it's interesting that he's trying to, what Boris does, and it's his way of going about it at the moment, because he doesn't have a legitimate opponent. His intention is to say, you're being so negative, look at what we've done. But Corbyn's view of it is, well, you haven't done anything really. You've just taken, now you're starting to give back again. You took because you couldn't figure the problem out 10 years ago. Which is his mentality. Lucy. Oh, well, I will definitely seek to ask her if I remember. I'm pretty bad for it. If there isn't a service, I'm very sorry for referencing it and being wrong. And honestly, I don't consider it a rudeness or an accusation in the slightest. If it is correct what you say, then and even if you're wrong, I take no issue. It doesn't matter in the slightest. If I'm wrong, I will look to seek and correct and prove it. But thank you for raising it. I do appreciate that. I don't mind being wrong. It's actually a good thing to be wrong.
He's dodged every question on it.
Because it's you asking them. Why don't you just go and drag Keir Starmer and Rebecca Long Bailey down there to ask the questions instead? There's more chance he'll get. To be fair, there's more chance he'll give Keir Starmer a straight answer, and more chance he'll probably just troll Rebecca Long Bailey because I think she looks like my dead nan, and she's very easy looking to troll.
The reality is that about half of the people going on to universal credit are worse off as a result of it.
Citation needed.
And the same is true of the very cruel and callous two-child limit under universal credit, which caps benefits for larger families.
Benefits were capped a long time ago. They were capped because Labour didn't cap them. And it meant a lot of very harsh introductions had to come into place. Like, for example, the bedroom tax. That was an interesting one because it affected my mother quite badly. It affected my mother badly because this house is considered a 4-bedroom house. It's not. It's 3 bedrooms. But they considered the dining room downstairs, which has 3 separate doors going into it from the living room, the kitchen, and the back door itself, to be a bedroom. Bit delusional, but okay. So yes. Hey, Lucy. It's like Corbyn dodged every question on anti-Semitism and Brexit. Yeah, he did, pretty much, didn't he?
There are 500,000 more children living in poverty than there were in 2010.
That's because of what's that thing that happens when people they smash, they engage in a physical activity and it leads to the creation of monsters. I live with 3 of my nieces. They live with me anyway, and all I can say is I was quite annoyed earlier when they misplaced my MP3 player because I use it at the gym. Equally irked when they took the cushion that was given to me and decided to turn it into a trampoline. Yeah, that was irritating. Quite irked when they they touch everything and they just break things. All my new patron badges I've made for people, yeah, they're in a little tin, so they decided to take them and throw them at the wall, which was lovely. So monsters, what happens over a period of 10 years when people engage in this thing? Oh, it's almost like the population goes in a direction. I just can't quite put my finger on it. Dickhead.
And the number of children in deprivation has soared in the last few years.
Oh wait, we've got poverty and deprivation. They're 2 separate things, are they? Fantastic.
Why won't the Prime Minister just have the guts to admit that there is a link between poverty and the 2-child limit?
I'll be honest, there'll always be a link with something with you. Just think, Corbyn, you could have hammered in with, just admit there's a link between people and procreation. Oh, that was the word. No, it wasn't. But yeah, I think Dakota rings. I wouldn't mind one of those, actually. I'll look on Thingiverse later. With this particular argument about the 2-child limit on benefits, it was more a way of treating a family as a family and not encouraging them to go down the path of excess. Yes, some people were kind of stuck because they have many children. There is a family that live around the corner from me that have about 9 kids, and the only reason she kept popping kids out originally was because she got more money. Her house was a 3-bedroom house. The council extended it and made it into a 6-bedroom house. It used to belong to a miner. This was a mining town. It was part of a mining town. It's just so stupid. people got away with it, and people shouldn't be encouraged to do that. Accept what you have and build a better life from the ground up, and don't seek to think or do that you are entitled, that you're entitled to more money because you have more kids. It's a case that you should have enough to get by. I tend to agree. But how you quantify that is tricky. And then you're having to offset it somehow. What are you going to do? Means assess based on additional child. I just don't understand how you would employ something like that. I don't like the idea of capping it. I will admit, personally, it feels a bit odd to cap it, but I know why it was capped. And I don't have kids, so maybe I don't really understand it, Maybe I don't understand it. Maybe not, I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to phrase what I think, but I realised I don't actually know how to phrase what I think. It's quite tricky, because I don't fully understand the 2-child cap. So I need to look into it to first formulate a solid opinion. If you got money from having kids, we'd be popping them out left and right. Think not. There'll be no children. No children. We'll have none of that.
Mr. Speaker, the right honourable gentleman can't accuse me of failing to answer the question when I answered the question very clearly a couple of times. There are 400,000 fewer people in poverty. There's been a reduction, substantial reduction in child poverty. He doesn't like the answers. The reality is that there is a massive increase in employment. There is growth in this economy. And let me tell you, Mr. Speaker, I really think that it is time the Labour Party changed their tune. I've got some good news. I've got some good news for the leader of the Labour Party. He was voted by Labour members as the most popular Labour leader since records began.
Lol. I'm sorry, but it's a very biased Labour Party when they forget their last actual Prime Minister, and I'm ignoring Gordon Brown. Was Tony Blair, who was arguably when he started, the single most popular people in the country, or person even. People, maybe, it depends on his pronouns.
I want him to know that those sentiments are warmly shared by many on this side of the House.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Oh, because I get the joke. That's good. I like that.
Mr. Speaker, the Labour Party will never abandon the poor of this country.
But you did at the last general election, when you decided to throw them under the bus because you thought, in your infinite wisdom, to put forward a manifesto that you still believe the people should have accepted, that would have bankrupted them. I will admit, my first fear when I thought of you going into office was, is my tax code about to go down from wherever it sits at now, down to like $6,000? Like tax code's like usually the first 4 digits of the amount. So like when I was a teenager, it was like 5600 and then some letter. Now it sits at a higher number, right? I think. Oh no, I've lost my trail of thought. No, yeah, so it's changed. I was worried it was going to go back down again. So yeah.
Levels of child poverty are a national scandal. The Prime Minister seems unable, incapable or unwilling to answer that question.
He doesn't have to answer you. And hello, Fab Fit Geeky. Hope you're well. Yeah, he doesn't have to answer you. You are a lame duck. In fact, you shouldn't be there. While you are until a leader is selected, I think anyone else in the shadow cabinet could be there instead. In fact, I think if you want this, press 1 in the chat. I would love to see, as the gift that would never stop giving. There is one person in the Labour Party I would love to see do a PMQ against Boris. So press 1 if you want Diane Abbott. Yes.
Universal credit had 3 aims. It was meant to make work pay. Low-paid workers are not allowed to even keep their bonuses. It was meant to be simple, but has created mind-numbing complexity. It was meant to reduce poverty. It's driving people to food banks. As we've seen today, the Prime Minister isn't able to answer questions on it. The fact is, this government has baked in austerity for tens of millions of people. When will he finally accept that the universal credit system is broken, is damaging, is dangerous to people's living standards, and it should go?
Only one thing I can think of should go straight away. Wonder who that is. I love all the ones, by the way. Thank you for engaging. I appreciate it. Smash the like.
Prime Minister.
That must look good in the Mr. Speaker, the right honourable gentleman wants to do nothing else except keep people in the welfare trap. Stop helping people out of welfare and into work, and I think actually he should pay tribute to all the people who by their hard work have found fantastic jobs over the last year, and he should pay tribute to the growth in employment in the UK economy. And quite frankly, Mr. Speaker, it is this government that is getting on with delivering on the priorities of the British people. 40 new hospitals, 50,000.
1 second, my apologies. Sorry for the yawn. First of all, it's not 40, it's about 6.
More nurses.
Not more nurses, it's actually less, because some are ones that want to leave, and you're trying to find a way to get them to stay.
20,000 more police officers, Mr. Speaker, and all the Labour Party is still split from top to toe, Mr. Speaker, about whether to stay in the EU or to remain run by the EU. They still can't make up their mind.
Well, it won't matter, because at the next general election, they would have to win 124 seats just to have a 1-seat majority, according to Jess Phillips. They are quite the party at the moment. They are absolutely teeming with power and influence.
Can't make up his mind. We deliver on the people's priorities.
Right, let's get to the paper pervert first of all, and obviously hide your reams, everyone. Look at him. He's there, everyone. Let's do this. Where is he? Right, so Boris will take a shot at the SNP. I think it's right we quickly just go here.
Regardless of their postcode. Prime Minister.
Right. Well, this is important. Right, this answer will be for taking a shot at him first. I love it.
I congratulate my honourable friend on the passion he brings to this debate and to this subject, and he is entirely right. And he should look at.
I would say, Grumpy, I tend to agree, because I have a friend that's having a similar issue with a gender clinic, and it actually, annoys me. 20,000 new dreads, please. Yeah, we'll have Judge Moists everywhere.
Stead's most recent report, which shows that standards about the kids he and I care about are rising. 86% of schools now rated good and outstanding. Of course there is more to do, that's why we're investing 40 billion more. But I compare the performance, I must say I'm regretfully obliged to compare the performance of those schools that my honourable friend draws attention to with the scores in Scotland, where through no fault of the pupils' performance in maths and science are at a record low. And perhaps the honourable gentleman who's about to rise to his feet like a rocketing pheasant will explain why his party is still so obsessed with breaking up our union rather than delivering for the children and the pupils of Scotland.
It is true. Scottish students generally don't do as well. Maybe there's some kind of genetic trait that makes them thicker. I don't know. It could be the education system itself, though, is failing the students. But the SNP are in denial, and they will be. But it's okay. The paper pervert's about to speak, everyone. Liar, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I associate myself with the remarks that were made for Holocaust Memorial Day next Monday? We should always stand up against anti-Semitism and any form of racism. Mr. Speaker, last night the Lords voted to reinstate the Sewell Convention, that the devolved governments must give consent to legislation that affects them.
Yeah, thing is, that's going to get overturned by Boris in Parliament anyway. Because an unelected room of people did something you agree with, you're going to side with them. But that's just, I'm not entirely sure it's going to end so well for you. I do think you have a voice and it should be heard. But thankfully you're outvoted, so get in line. Go back, I don't know, do something else. I don't know, eat a pork pie or lick a window.
Devolution is under attack from this Tory government. Powers are being grabbed back to Westminster. There is no respect for the people of Scotland, for Wales and Northern Ireland, their governments or their decisions. Yesterday, the Welsh Assembly became the third devolved Parliament to refuse consent for the Tory Brexit bill.
Well, thankfully, your voices are not now nor will they ever be as loud as the UK government. You saying no doesn't stop it happening. Your devolved administration saying no doesn't stop it happening. They get a say, but thankfully they're ignored. And Carlos has thankfully pointed out it's already been shot down. Well done. Well done. Honestly.
Absolutely.
Why is the UK government ignoring the principle of consent for our national?
That's a point. Wales did vote leave, but apparently the Labour government in charge over there are like, you know what? Let's just ignore our people.
Government.
Mr. Speaker, the right honourable knows full well that it is no part or implication of the Sewell Convention to break up the oldest and most successful political union in the world.
Mr. Speaker, that the Prime Minister ignores the Smith Commission, that recognises it's up to the people of Scotland to determine their future.
But they have determined their future. They took part in the Brexit referendum. They took part in it. And while a majority in Scotland voted to remain, they were outnumbered on the UK stage. On the unionist stage, they were defeated. Therefore, as part of the union, you must respect the result. And while you don't want to leave, you have to. You are a nationalist arguing on a unionist stage. This is how embarrassing you are, you fat, balding prick. It's actually sad.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister just doesn't get it. This is an unprecedented attack. Scotland said no, and we meant it.
Yeah. But you're part of the United Kingdom, and the United Kingdom decided the future. And it decided, yeah, you cunts are coming with us, bitch. Let's go.
Not only does the Prime Minister not have a legislative mandate for his bill,
he doesn't have a legislative mandate for his bill. Did you just hear what you said, you idiot? Hello, Prospero. Hope you're well.
As the benches opposite Bray, it's clear that this place simply doesn't accept the reality that
I feel like you're the wrong person to be saying that.
the Scottish Parliament speaks for the people of Scotland. The devolution settlement must be respected.
I'll be honest, I'd be happy to take your devolved administration and shove them up your bottom. One at a time. Slowly. Dry.
Prime Minister, all three devolved parliaments and even the House of Lords have called on you to end your government's attack on devolution. Well,
it's not an attack on devolution. You're using us leaving the EU in 9 days as an excuse to say you're attacking our devolved powers, but your powers are already limited. You may get a say, but thankfully it's a nationalist say on a unionist stage. I feel like I've said that too many times. I do apologise. My point still stands. Fucking toad.
will the Prime Minister stop the attack on our Parliament?
He hasn't attacked your Parliament. He just decided, fuck you.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I agreed for a second with the right honourable gentleman because he said Scotland said no and they meant it, and he was right. They said the people of Scotland said no to independence in 2014, and they meant it, and they meant it because they were told it was a once in a both by Alex Salmond and his protege Nicola Sturgeon. They were told it was and indeed by the right honourable gentleman, they were told it was a once in a generation event. And the people of Scotland did it because they know full well that £9 billion net come from the UK to Scotland. 60% of Scotland's trade is with the rest of the UK, and they know, they can see the vast investments in manufacturing that come from the UK to Scotland, whether it's in Rosyth, £1.5 billion in building fantastic ships in Rosyth, or at Govan, fantastic investments in manufacturing. We support manufacturing in Scotland. They support nothing except manufacturing grievances, and they know it.
I would love to just get a refund on the money we sent them. I think he said 9 billion. I thought it was 15. Whatever it is, I'd very much like a refund, and I'd like us to stop subsidising other aspects of the country. In fact, I'd like to use the 9 billion to build a wall. And, yeah. That's what I want to do now. I'm kidding. I wouldn't want to build the wall around all of Scotland, because there are some people that are quite tolerable. But the paper fiddler is quite a silly man. I agree, Prospero. I think we're done here. Oh, we are. Haha. There are more questions. To be honest, it's actually quite tame for the remainder. But I'll be honest, I don't want to do any more. I want to go sit in the voice chat with my patrons and just chill for an hour before I have to go to bed. Thank you very much for being here. If you haven't already, please smash like. I would appreciate it. I am back here tomorrow with the regular video, but also streaming here on Friday with Trups. So thank you all very much for joining, and have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful evening. Peace.